But the practical question that I had then was,
Yeah.
so in the position that I'm in, like I've been thinking about like going to an RCIA course locally, right?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously I feel it would be relatively unfair or weird to sort of like turn up. I mean, you don't know, there's just going to be a bunch of people there and you've got some poor guy who's like, here's Aquinas' 5 ways. And I've got all of this stuff in my mind philosophically. And, I'm not looking to, I'm not looking to have some debate with someone or something.
Right.
But also I feel that it would be always like relatively just inappropriate to have some, like kind of cursory, there just might be some people who are just thinking about this, and then I'm going to be, if I want to bring up things that are in my mind, they're going to be all these esoteric and bizarre objections and thoughts. And I just don't know, like, do you think that it's appropriate for me to still go through that and I should just try and like shut up if they mention like natural theology and think about other things, or what are your thoughts on that? So someone who's in Western.
I mean, yeah. Oh, I didn't know this about you considering going to RCIA. I mean, and just to let everybody know, you can go through RCIA and just not join. I know 2 people who went through it 3 times. And I think both are still not in the church. So, but it's like an initiation program into the church. Not like a cult and like initiation program, but the idea of like you get taught this catechism, and you get to learn about like what the church believes and so on. I will say this, having been through it just once, not even hitting all the things. Like I was fortunate because I went through my RCIA right by Baylor University. And so it's a Baptist school. It's where I did my doctorate, but we had a bunch, like half the philosophy department, half the faculty and half the grad students were Catholic already. And so I was kind of stepping into that hornet's nest, I suppose. But that's where I converted. I was already working on these things for about 10 years or so. And, but just having people I could bounce off of, it was like the perfect scenario to be like, okay, if I have a question, I'm going to go ask this. And many of those people, graduate students and professors, like did special guest, appearances and would teach a class, if it were like their specialty in like sexual ethics or whatever it may be. So, that was like tremendously helpful. And then I'm also a little bit, I'm a little bit, I'm blessed in this way as well now to be at a parish where the Dominicans run it. Of course, that's the OP, Order of Preachers, Dominicans, not Dominican Republic for anybody, but the order of priests and friars who were the same order that St. Dominic and St. Thomas Aquinas, who is relevant here. So those guys are scary smart, and they're able to answer like any question I might have, and so that's really consoling for me. So I think it depends on where you go, and then like who's running the class. So if it is just somebody who's like a college age intern and you're like this is like really unfortunate and frustrating that I cannot talk to anybody about this, you're going to have to like hold, bite your tongue and not hold it in, and then ask somebody later. But even I think,
because I can see as well, it's not that I think, oh, well, if they can't answer it, that means it's wrong, because
right.
Why would some random person even be able to just address,
exactly.
like I've been thinking about this stuff for a while, like, so it's like coming along to a gunfight and the other person's unarmed. So, it just, why it wouldn't prove anything to do that, right? It just
exactly
my ego.
One person's inability who wasn't even there to begin with. Like even me, like I think me doing this on YouTube, they misunderstand the context of this and like what is being done. Like when I get on camera and I talk about stuff, I should say this more often, but people need to be reminded that I'm not like the end all be all explanation of everything. And if my explanation fails, then that means the whole system fails and that Christianity is wrong, Catholicism is fake, and like God doesn't exist. It's like God can do, like he can do without me. He doesn't need me, So, and there are a lot smarter people out there than I am. Like I'm just like I've put it into my my bio now. If you click on the more on my channel page, I put a quote by Saint Bernadette Subaru, and she says, my job is not to convince, my job is to inform, not to convince. So like that's all I'm here for. But yeah, just knowing, it could be frustrating, but I think even if given the context, even if you had some really smart dude there, And, you know, if you knew it would derail the conversation, if you asked yeah, it would make you, some people do this. They don't have any social tact. They're just like they want to look really smart in a situation. I used to be like this. So like, you know, obviously just think of the situation and know when it's right to raise these things. And at the end of the day, it's like, is this a question that is, you know, relevant to, in this case, to the next step of becoming Catholic? You know, if it is, then absolutely get it answered. If it's not, like, I went through RCIA and I didn't have all my questions about Catholicism answered. I think this is instructive for not just Catholicism, but just like philosophy in general. Like I didn't have all my questions. Like I became Catholic and I wasn't really 100% sure about like the role of Mary, and like I'm still learning about that stuff. But it's like I think people get it they get it in their head too much that they should have everything 100% nailed down before they get on to the next step or call themselves a certain thing. Like, yes, I'm a moral realist. I know everything that entails and like how to defend it and everything. I don't know, but I don't have to know everything about it. You know, like that's where I'm drawn, and I'm kind of, you know, I could be talked out of it, I suppose. Do you see what I mean? Like, but anyway, but just some thoughts there. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's interesting to me. Because it just is a concern I have because I've not gone through RCIA at all. And like, you know, it's that wanting to balance, but not wanting to like basically just be, you know, like an asshole to people. It's like,
Right. Yeah.
I want to be able to have conversations where I can express things where I'm like, oh, I'm not sure what I think about this, or, you know, is this a dogma, or is this like, you can kind of,
Right.
you know, there's certain questions like that I might have, but then I don't want to just make it like some guy who knows a bunch of philosophy here to debate bro or something like that as well. You know, what your thoughts are on whether it's even that's the right context, or you think maybe it'd be better to just like talk to a priest in private or something like that.
Absolutely 100% recommend talking to a priest. These guys are hell smart. I've had the privilege of teaching some of them philosophy. They just in a standard, let's say, what's it called? Diocesan priest, which is somebody who just belongs to like the regional diocese, not an order like the Benedictines, Franciscans, or Jesuits or somebody. Like you get some of those guys in those orders and they're hecka smart because Jesuits, Dominicans, they're like, know their philosophy. So go to them. If you don't have anybody else, like go to them, that'd be great. But even the diocesan guys, the ones I've taught, they get 2 full years of nothing but philosophy. And then they get 4 years of nothing but theology. And then they do their like internships. And this is on top of already having having an undergraduate university degree. So yeah, highly recommend that. But in terms of like raising it in a group setting with people who are just kind of just there to learn about Catholic stuff, I mean, it depends on what it is. Like if your question is something like, is this a dogma of the church? Absolutely ask that. Like that's something everybody should know and would benefit from knowing. But if it's something that's like, but this makes you a better thinker and better communicator as well. Because you have to like think like, okay, is this going to affect? You have to know your audience. So that's what I recommend. Just know your audience, and if it's something that's going to benefit them, then yeah, absolutely ask it.
Awesome.
And then also makes you a better communicator, because if it's something that you're not sure about, somewhere in between, like break it down to like explain it like I'm 5, like it's like an 8th grader or something. Like if they can understand it, then I've done well, and that's a challenge. It's not easy to break these things down into basic stuff, but yeah, that's what that, yeah.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah. That sort of maybe removes one worry that's in my mind, just sort of like going along to one of these things and attending it or whatever. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.